Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to Hallyujuku, a podcast about East Asian pop culture and the things around it. I'm Peter Avery, man with no plan. Here with me, as always, is my partner in crime, my right-hand man on my left-hand side, as I like to say. We got Brandon Cooper, aka King Kaz. How you doing, Kaz?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be back at it again.
We're going to try to be back at it consistently. Hopefully. We'll do our best.
Yeah.
We certainly try. Like we always say. We are, of course, gathered to talk about East Asian pop culture. Things that are going on here and there and over and yonder. Of course, we start off every episode talking about what's new, what's caught our attention since we last gathered. We got back together relatively quickly, so not a lot of stuff, but we get to highlight specifically the cool stuff that we get to check out. So, Kaz.
So new? I got a track that came out a little while ago from GOT7. I meant to feature it earlier, but I didn't really enjoy this track from them. I wasn't sure why, and upon this listening to it again before this episode, it sounds a lot better than it did maybe the first two times I listened to it. But it's GOT7's "You Are," and I don't know, it just doesn't hit me the way most other GOT7 tracks do.
Yeah, it's I think it's a good song. I think relative to that they had to where they've gone kind of off track a little bit. It's a good song. It's a better song. I think there's a lot to like about it. It's not their best song, but at least it has a good hook and has a good structure to it. I like that interesting guitar thing that was happening is really cool. I will say, I'm wondering if Jackson is deciding to suddenly, if he enrolled in the school of Bobby rapping, Bobby's school of hip hop rapping, which is I'm gonna growl all my stuff to make it sound intense and hard, even though it just makes it annoying sounding, that even Bobby has gotten away from. In his recent stuff, it's not how Jackson usually raps, and I think it's seems like a new thing that he's put on his style. I don't like it. I don't hold with it. But overall, it's good. It's not great, but it's good. There's a lot to like. I've historically liked GOT7, but this one's it's a back and forth thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've recently liked a lot of GOT7 stuff, right? And I think before I used to be kind of back and forth with them, and then I think this is kind of on the back again, right? So it's just sometimes they do stuff that I'm not super fond of. That happens with them. So it's it's a track. It's out there. If you enjoy it, you do. If you don't, you don't. It's kind of just one of those things. I think it's just that happens every once in a while. So, So moving on from there, I got a track from
definitely historically have liked
The Boys, Epic High. It's like a 2-in-1 track. I'm not really sure what to call this, but
you get a little piece of the other track at the end.
Yeah,
so I guess that counts.
So this is mostly Home is Far Away, kind of part of their new release that they got coming out. Home is Far Away, and there's a little bit of love story in there. It's a very slow, ballady kind of song from Epic High, which they generally tend to do pretty well. And I liked this one. It's just long. I just thought it was really long. But other than that, I enjoyed it.
It's off of their new album, We've Done Something Wonderful, and they've done something pretty wonderful. It's very much, it's featuring Oh Hyuk, who of course is on their High Ground label. So it's going to be obviously Epic High with building the High Ground label, they're gonna feature some of the YG and High Ground artists. So, and I think they feature pretty well. I think it's very much their more mellow, emotional kind of stuff. It's very much the Epic High wheelhouse. It's not something that's gonna surprise anyone if you tell them like, if you play for this for someone, it's like, oh yeah, this is Epic High. Yeah, it's like you don't even have to wait for Tableau to start rapping. Honestly, for someone to at least guess Epic High, even if they guess somebody else before, after whatever. But that's not a bad thing. It's a good song, and I think that there's a lot to really like about it. I'm looking forward to checking out the whole album because I have Shoebox, and I still consider it
one of the probably best albums that came out that year.
Yeah, and it was fantastic. I brought it onto Record Breakers of all things, for sure, to kind of put that into perspective. Yeah, it is. So I'm looking forward to listening to this whole album, especially because since I'm definitely interested in the track that he has Mino, Simon, Dominique, and The Quiet on it. So I'm looking forward to that. But this one it's Epic High, man. They're fantastic.
Right. And that's the thing about Epic High is they're one of those people that like they're one of those groups that are well enough known that do a range of things that when they do something that for the most part would seem different, like if you kind of know Epic High from a certain style, right, this would seem different. But if you know Epic High musical catalog, this isn't a stretch for them, right? They've kind of just been around the block musically, and that's kind of the great thing about them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's not much else to say. It's just a really cool song. And a really nice little snippet of the song, which is featuring IU. I look forward to listening to all of these songs. Can sit down with the album. But yeah,
good shit.
All right. Last but not least.
So last but not least, the boys from AOMG.
Higher
this
Music.
is Higher Music. All them. So this is PH1 featuring Jay Park, and the song is called Donut. And the song is super fun. The video is super fun. It's just fucking fun all around. For a good like couple of viewings, I could have swore that this was a HP commercial, bro. Because that logo that they're sporting with PH's name on it looks like it looks
like they just took the
HP.
P from HP and just kind of took it and stamped it over just moved it a few inches over.
Yeah, they just swapped the letters.
Yeah. Yeah, straight up, yeah.
So yeah, but it's I don't know, it's a super fun fucking track. Like I enjoyed the hell out of it. First listen, second listen, third listen, like just goddamn fun all around.
There was that moment where you first see PH1 where I could have sworn it was Jackson. I'm sorry about that. Like I was like, was that Jackson making a cameo? I was like, no, it's not him. Yeah, it's just a fun song. It's just like complicated about it. It's just a fun hip hop track. A little bit braggadocious, a little bit kind of a fun video about them making donuts. Or like it's about a donut company where they're dancing making donuts. Also, the most useless conveyor belt I've ever seen in my life. Like, just taking
you can literally hand it to the other person.
Because literally the person is within reach of the ultimate. Like the first person is within reach of the ultimate destination, but she first hands it to somebody the opposite direction to have them slide it down the conveyor belt. It's like I don't know. It adds whimsy to that donut. Maybe it infuses it with whimsy to add better flavor. I don't know.
I also don't know what's up with the. This is once again another place where somebody's using a knife and fork for something that you don't need to use a knife and fork for.
It's like, bro, And then even like this, even the same video, PH1 went ahead and just grabbed a donut from somebody else's and ate it with his hand. You can just eat it with your hand, but like I don't know, they feel like they got to do it in a fancy way. I don't know. Also, Jay Park rapping. I guess he's decided he's a rapper now.
No, he goes back and forth. Don't try to make it like he doesn't know what he is. He just goes back and forth. That's what he does. He goes with the wind. He's like, "What am I today?"
Ever since that, yeah. Ever since that article that called him the Korean rapper Jay Park, I'm like, no, you're gonna give him ideas. Yeah, it's okay that he doesn't.
He's just gonna go with whatever he wants.
Yeah, that's fine. You know what? And in the end, we're gonna just get good, fun songs from him. And if whatever it takes for him to come up and maybe take over, and like I said, we can get him to replace Chris Brown. We'll all be better for it. If we can get him to be the guy that people go to for their R&Bs with some occasional raps.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
The world would be better for it. But yeah, this is a cool track, and I enjoyed it for sure. All right, moving on to someone who raps, but as a singer who raps. All right, some of the tracks that I caught my attention. I kind of have a little bit of a nice mix. Jimin of AOA has debuted a new song and a new face. This time kind of in collaboration with W Korea. Came out with I guess her new mini or album, Ready to Jimin, with the track called Hallelujah. I was a little concerned with the teaser where she kind of looked like, well, she was trapped and didn't want to be there. Like, it didn't seem like she was enthused at all. But there was worry. But the track finally released, a video release, and it's actually pretty good. Like it's fun. Like there's some like mid 2000s Shakira vibes here and there, mid 2000s, late 2000s Shakira vibes in the instrumental. She does her job at making a fun, hooky track, and providing visuals for the video and personality and stage presence for the video. And overall, it's a good track. I think it's not an all-time great, but it's a good, fun, danceable, catchy track, and I enjoyed it. What do you think, Kaz?
Yeah, I felt the same. Like I kind of felt exactly the same. Like it's not amazing, but it's fun as fuck, right? And it hits you in the moment for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to see something else from the motherfucking Top Madam. It just, I'm not going to dwell on the whole her obviously having had work done. I just hope that if she did, I just hope that it's obvious that she's had work done, that it was for her. It was for her. She did it for herself. Okay. Even though I know it was because everybody else, even though in the back of my mind I know she did it to please other people.
Not even that. It's just we've talked about this before. It's almost the rite of passage thing in the star culture there. So you just kind of
it's just like the idea that it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart the idea of all the Samuel L. Jackson comparisons having actually gotten to her emotionally, which makes me a little sad. But I'm not one to judge. I just worry. I'm not going to judge. I just worry that it is a sign of her not being happy with herself. But I don't know. I don't know her personally, so I can't conclude definitively. Still, will always love and appreciate the fact that she does fun stuff, and she's a great personality. But yeah, moving on. Speaking of performers, we have more tracks. So we featured a couple of the tracks from the different units from 17. We had the leader unit, the hip hop unit. This one, I remember watching it a little while back. I just kind of had watched it, really enjoyed it, but kind of, I guess, forgot about it. And didn't repeat. Well, we had a lot of songs featured recently, but this one was a really cool song and video from the performance team. I forget what if it does have an English title. What the English title is? Did I not feature
this one? I don't remember which ones I did.
You did the leaders and the hip hop team.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I think there's two other ones, right? There's this one, and I think there's the visual.
Yeah, there's there's a vocal team, and there's a couple of ones. Yeah,
or is it the vocal team? I don't know, bro. Look, goddamn, I'm confused now.
Yeah, but the key thing is this is the performance team. It is 13th month dance, or Yabai, Lily Yabai. Lily Yabai, or the 13th month dance. It is really cool. The song is really cool. The performance, the video is just fantastic. There's just something really just visually captivating about the video, about the dance, about their whole performance in general. And it fit the song really well. It's almost like I'd hate to divorce the song from the performance, but the song is really good. But it's almost like it just feels right to just have it as a complete package. Which, and granted, that's the entirety of pop music, but especially K-pop. But I think this one does it in a fantastic way. I don't know. Well, what did you think, Kaz?
No, I thought it was a really fucking cool kind of performance kind of thing. I mean, obviously, which now sounds redundant as fuck, right? I thought it was kind of a really cool thing. It seemed weird at first, right? Because they're just in all white and their faces are painted white, and and I didn't get that part of it, but the performance itself is really fucking cool.
I think that's just the beat.
The song isn't that great, but I don't think it's about the song, right? Because it's from the performance team. So, of course, it's about how they're performing.
Yeah. I think, the song is fantastic for the performance. I think, like I said, it's not... It on its own isn't great, but it's still a good song as a basis for a performance, which I think that's what it's the point of it. Yeah, like you said, it's structured well, and it's really fun to watch, and the visuals and the fake flash mob aspect of it, which is cool. It also reminded me at the end with everybody laying on the ground of that Radiohead music video where the dude it's supposed to be a Twilight Zone episode, and also now it reminds me of an edit somebody did where they subtitled him saying what we don't know what he says, but they subtitled it as any army here, lol. It's and then everybody's out. It's fantastic. But that tangent aside, cool performance video. Check it out, 17 performance team. But yeah, another track I want to feature. Not a major track, but it's a cool little track. Marmello, which is kind of like a pop band, all girl pop band. That debuted just this year. Well, they've been playing, but they kind of did a proper debut thing this year. Came out with the song "Can't Stop," and it's not a reinvention of the wheel, but it is a fun song. It's fun. It's energetic, and honestly, what it is, it feels like this is another one of those K-pop songs that very much sounds like it's an anime theme. like like you can visualize the like slice of life anime that this is the theme for, that this has the opening for, or like I don't know, what would be the anime that has this as the theme song?
It's obvious. The video fits it itself. It's the girls' theme, like friendship anime, like like these girls from different walks of life who are all friends for some weird reason.
Yeah, and they all trying their best, and we get this an ensemble show. We see all their boss, dealing with their mean bosses, and they're trying to find a boyfriend or not. Just trying to get through life and achieving their dreams. I think overall, that does it well, and it's a fun experience. I think they do what they do fairly well, and yeah, overall it's just fun. I don't know. Well, what did you think, Kaz?
I thought it was like a super fun track. I don't think it was. It didn't super grab me because it just is kind of meh poppy, but I like the overall kind of theme to it, like the overall kind of just fun of it.
Yeah,
but it's not like something I'd come back to a bunch of times.
Yeah, I think it was a nice fun experience, and I think I'm looking forward kind of to seeing what they do. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, what do they lean into? Do they lean into just being idols who happen to play instruments, or do they lean into being a band? I don't know. We'll see what happens. But just making fun pop songs. It's that's their thing. Then that's their thing. I look forward to that. Yeah, Marmelo. Yeah, that's the end of what's new. What's caught our attention? We're gonna transition over to our headlines. Talk about some of the topical topics, things going on as I queue a thing up. So join us over there on the flip side. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the headlines. I didn't have a stack of paper. I just bunked my notebook on the. I need to grab a stack of paper just for the sake of the set gag. Let's talk about some topical topics. Talk about some headlines. Talk about some things. So we usually don't cover teasers or announcements of new tracks coming up. We usually when they come out, we'll talk about them if they caught our attention. But this one's exciting for a big particular reason, at least for me, as the EXID fan that I am. Solji's back. Solji's back in with EXID and their full teasers for Full Moon comeback. They've been putting out their teasers for the new album Full Moon. And I think it's going to be a new album or a new mini. I'm trying to remember, but it's going to be a new release. And there's going to be a track for it. I think it's called Dul 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 or something like that. But they've been putting out different individual teasers for the members. They finally put out a teaser with Solji in it, which had been the kind of the assumption was that she was going to be at least participate in the recording of the album and in the music aspects. We don't know yet if she's going to participate in the promotions and performances. I think the previous report was that she wasn't, that she still wasn't quite healthy enough to do the full promotions, but that she would still participate in recording the album and be part of the album musically and singing on the actual CD. And then they'll probably record a version with just the 4 members so that they can perform it live and whatnot. But overall, it's just exciting to see her at least healthy enough to do this and back.
Yeah, it's usually those kind of things are a slow process, right? You got to kind of take your time, especially like kind of things that are more mental and less physical, right? So you just kind of want to take your time with those things and not rush yourself, more or less, and not force yourself back.
Yeah, so like especially with something like even like a physical thing, like the fact that hyperthyroidism has a big name to it. It takes a little bit of healing, to deal with that. But the fact that she's able to be healthy enough to at least get in the studio and reform the proper EXID is fantastic. Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on this, guys?
Not really. Like it's a hopeful thing, but I'm not gonna get. You still want to be super excited, right? Because you don't want them to rush her. You don't want her to rush herself. You just want her to be at her best.
Yeah.
When she comes back.
Especially, yeah. So the idea that they will have her in the studio, because she can do that, but they'll hold off on things like performances and things like promotion, things like the real grind that is K-pop, all that. That's usually the real grind, and and it makes sense that she would not participate in that and just wait time. So if it takes time, it takes time, and I'm more than happy to wait to see her perform because I don't care about music shows and I can't attend a concert. So it's all the same to me. All I care about is that everybody's healthy and happy. That's all I care about. Even if I could watch them in concert, as long as I would only want to see her back if she's healthy, if she can handle it. Yes. Speaking of girl group struggles, some nonsense. So I'm not usually a violent person, but this developing story has me wanting to throw hands. Apink. I have APOS on the brain. Shout out to anime podcast of some sort. Apink gets 3 more bomb threats in the span of 4 days from the same person as before. So Apink has been the subject of systematic multiple bomb threats by all accounts through investigation, one particular person. Back in June, they received a death threat from a fan. Later that month, their showcase had a bomb threat. They also called in a bomb threat to Music Bank. The person moved on to threatening the Korean president. Then they reemerged, and this was all back in like those few months. And then they reemerged recently with they threatened a bomb for an event that was being attended by Naun in Dongguk University. They also called in a bomb threat on Chodong's event at a different place at the Bucheon International Animation Festival. And she was there as an honorary ambassador. They called a bomb threat at their attendance of Busan One Asia Festival. And yeah, and this has been going on for a while. And so all of the, as ridiculous as the agency doesn't sound and here's the less optimistic part of this article. This is they don't sound that they're optimistic it'll stop. So the Apex agency stated a red notice has been issued by Interpol. We've heard that it won't be easy to catch the culprit because he does not live in Korea. We will do all that we can to cooperate with law enforcement to help catch the culprit as soon as possible. And yeah, there's been more word on the fact that the Interpol is looking for him, or at least would like cooperation from local authorities, which is he's Canadian. We don't know exactly where he's from, but he is a Korean Canadian, a particular one that they're going to try to be in contact with local police to get him, to at least stop him. All I know is I'm very much against doxing, but there's a part of me that would like to know where he is, so that punch him in the face. But that's not the logical part of me. And
that doesn't stop anything.
Things. It doesn't stop anything.
Yeah.
It's not the right thing. I'm just saying, it's a little piece of me in the back of my mind. But ultimately, what I want is to authorities to get him. Kaz, what is your reaction? How optimistic are you that they can catch this culprit?
It literally just depends on how, not even sophisticated, but how much effort they put into hiding their tracks, right? Like, if they put any effort at all into hiding their tracks, then they're going to be really hard to track down unless they do it super consistently from the same exact place, right? If they're dumb enough to do that, then they'll easily kind of be caught and triangulated. If effort is put into catching this person, right? That's the other thing. It's how much effort that person is putting into not getting caught, plus the effort of how much they're putting in to catch that person, right? Those two things have to intersect at a very special point for this person to get caught. You would like to assume somebody who does crazy shit like this is stupid, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just crazy and smart, so that happens. And sometimes, I don't know, people don't take these things seriously until something bad happens, and that's also the bad thing with these kind of situations, Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where his proximity and, by all accounts, with his proximity and where his access, he probably won't do anything. He's not really a threat to actually blow up anybody or to put a bomb somewhere.
But see,
you have to take it seriously, and you have to take any threat like this seriously, and that affects a lot of people. It puts stress on resources. It delays events. It puts stress on,
because it's also a dependence on like. It's also a dependence on if that person, right? Because I don't want to just automatically say he, right? Because everybody else is going to automatically say he, and it could be they could at least know it's a dude, but there have been times, and you don't know how far somebody is willing to escalate for attention. Yeah.
How far how much money they'll spend, or how much, the steps they'll go through. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could end badly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we've seen historically, We don't
But you got to remember, sometimes most things start out as a cry for help, right? And you could take this as like, oh man, that person's being an ass and I want to beat them up, but this legitimately, it seems like an attention grabbing thing, but it could be like a cry for help. It could be like they don't know any other way to reach out, and doing something like this is that outlet before they do something crazy, right? And they might not do something crazy to A-Pink because people are like, oh, they're so far away from these people that they're threatening that it doesn't matter, right? No, it's they could also then be a danger to the people around them. You know what I'm saying? Like these threats to someone far away could be, like I said, that cry out for help to threats to someone closer to them. Like, so that's why, like, people look at it from such a one-sided perspective that it's just like, oh, they're gonna try to do something to A-Pink, but like, no, it's like what is the possible threat to the people around them is what I'm worried about.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully they can do the steps necessary to find this person, find this fan, quote unquote, and if they need help, get them the help that they need. Yeah. Yeah. So, good luck to Interpol and all the authorities. Speaking of girl group struggles, same segue. This is interesting. So the unit, I think we've mentioned the unit previously, has released a clip. So ex-girl group member working as a delivery person. Yang Ji-won, an ex-Idol member, a quote ex-Idol quote unquote member, took a part-time job as a green juice delivery person. An Idol audition program, quote, the unit, unquote, on KBS to release a teaser clip. In the footage, Yang was spotted in uniform, working part-time as a green juice delivery person, dropping the juice off at an apartment. It was revealed that Yang picked up the job to pay for the cost of living after a group's disbandment last February. Yang debuted as a member of the now disbanded K-pop group Spica in 2012. Rip in peace. Yang will try to work her way back in the spotlight by featuring in a program she signed up for the competition to achieve her dream as a singer. The unit hopes to shed light on to current and ex-Idol members who are not widely known. It is set to premiere on Saturday. So this is interesting, and it very well could be completely staged for the show. Because that's reality TV for you. But it does illustrate especially for girl groups, the all or nothing nature for being an idol. Like, you either make it big or you get nothing out of the deal. It's not an easy path. It's in fact a very hard path. Especially like, even because like, and we talk about even like boy groups. A lot of boy groups can hang and kind of survive because they have fandoms. But for like girl groups that don't lock into a fandom, which a lot of them don't, because they can't, they're not going to appeal to the same demographics. They have to hope for mainstream success or a viral hit or something like that. Or it just so there's a couple, and I don't know, you could look at it a couple ways, but this definitely illustrates that point. What do you think, Kaz?
If it's true, which it could be, I'm not gonna say it can't be, but if it was, then like I am glad she's just willing to just do what she feels like she needs to, to get, like to make her living. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think like for example, I'm pretty sure Kimboa, I think probably the one that had the biggest crush on, is I'm pretty sure Kimboa is working at a cafe in Itaewon, just by her Instagrams, that she's always at the same place during the day, and she seems to be the only one there. So I'm pretty sure, the struggle is real. I think there's a couple of ways to look at it. Like, you could say she's working this job, she failed as an idol, but at the same time, she's like, okay, she's in her 20s working a part-time job, and also she got a chance to be an idol, and she's probably gonna keep going at it. She's doing what a lot of 20-something-year-olds are doing, in this environment. But she got a chance. She had a chance to be on stage, and she's gonna get another chance to see if she can, keep her career going. So it's a stark reminder of the all or nothingness of pop music, of stardom. But it's like, it's not a dire, depressing situation. It's just, it's life. And that's the way it is. Yeah. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change.
Yeah. I mean, it's rough, right? Because you look at it as a situation where you're like, oh, people try out and fail. And then they move on to other things, right? But there's also just these situations where people try out and they start to make it, and then they start to make it, and then things go wrong, and then they fail, right? So then you got to realize, there's so much time and effort put into that there isn't much that they can do in between that. You know what I mean? Like you there's so much effort you have to put into to do idol stuff that it's just rough, right? Because you could look at somebody who goes to an audition and fails, and you're like, well, you just go on and do other things, right? Yeah, okay, that's that, right? But for somebody who tries, makes it past that first step, makes it past that second step, makes it past that third step, makes it past that fourth step, but then doesn't hit the fifth step, and now everything else becomes just the moot, and now you're in debt to some company and shit like that. Like, these are the things we're always talking about, right? Like that you also have to look at. Like, it's not all just fun and games and just silly shit. And it's not only idols that have to deal with that. It's just like any career that you go for that's non-traditional, right? Like, and even some careers that you go for that are traditional have that issue where you put in so much effort and then you just don't get it, and now you're just kind of fucked because you've put so much effort into this one thing, and now you're not doing that one thing, and that effort that went into that one thing doesn't fit anything else. You know what I'm saying? You can't be like, yo, I trained for an idol. Can I be a CEO of your paper company? Like, I don't think those skills work together. So it's hard. It's rough. It's rough.
Yeah. It's like you've spent your whole life. Honestly, it's like, I've always been meaning to watch the entire thing, but it almost reminds me of Misang, The Incomplete Life, the drama, which the central plot of that is the main character spent all of his life being a world-class Go player, and then had to go get a job, and now he's working in an office, and he's like, I what? Like he's completely ill-equipped to this new environment, other than the fact that he knows how to play Go at a world-class level. Like, it is kind of like that. Yeah, it's yeah. I gotta watch that drama. I think it's on Netflix too, which is crazy. Yeah, it's all the best. I'm curious about the show, The Unit. It's in that Produce 101 lineup, where it's like that. It's probably going to be a train wreck, but it might be a fun train wreck. I don't know, and it might be able to revive some careers, which is a hopeful thing, because there's a lot of people in that show where they I would like to see them get a chance to succeed, including Jiwon Speaka, because I loved Speaka. In a just world, if pop music was a meritocracy, which is not, Speaka would be where Mamamoo is now. Because there's so many ways, they were doing they were a top-notch, tight vocal group. They just didn't land that song, that moment, that hit, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, all the best to everyone involved in The Unit. But yeah, speaking of unconventional ways to find success, killing it with these segues. No romance dramas draw strong viewers response. Kind of a weird sentence, but bear with me. More dramas are giving up on the romance storyline that had been typically regarded as a must for any hit. Looking at the viewer responses to ongoing dramas, it now seems viewers think that if it is telling a similar love story, it would be better off with no romance at all. Temperature of Love, a romantic comedy on FCS, which has strong viewer response, with delicate expressive relationship. It goes on to kind of like talk about like webtoon-based dramas and other shows, but that people are finding success with shows that aren't. Oddly enough, people are finding success with shows that aren't the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, and I mean, like, look, okay, so it seems
obvious to say. Yeah.
Even we here on this show have said some of the best dramas that we have seen from Korea happen to be romantic comedy dramas. But at the same time, we've also said there are shows that we watched that if literally the romance part wasn't in there, it would have been so much better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many shows that we watch where we're like, God damn, if you didn't force this shit down my throat of these two people being together,
yeah,
I'd have fucking had a show to watch, you know, like.
Yeah.
But you had to go there with like forcing this shit down my throat, like, and then these two are together, and you're like, I don't care. Like, I was enjoying this show, and now I'm not. Like.
Yeah. I think it's cool to see the fact that they're finding it's you know, it's almost like we're seeing what we remember happening on cable on American television a decade or more ago, where you know, especially cable is pushing people to change how they make shows. Because they actually, you know, and the diversity and the fact that there's more options and streaming and things like that has opened up to the fact that you need to bring something different to the table in order to bring in the viewers. Like, yeah. Like, I think like it's cool. It's interesting to talk about in this article. Albeit from being top rated in time slot, NBC's Wednesday Thursday medical drama Hospital Ship, which grabbed viewers' attention by dealing with a lesser known hospital ship sailing around small islands around the world, helping island residents, has been seeing less viewer responses as the medical drama is now focusing on a love triangle and is becoming a typical melodrama. So it's like we were talking about. It's like, yo, this show, it's like a medical show. Like, it's like, oh, you get into those things, like them trying to figure out, help out people, like trying to, you know, figure out these, you know, these situations, and you're gonna just throw in that, oh, now he's in love with her and her's in love with him, and you're getting into this bullshit. Like, I didn't come here for that.
Right.
I came here for the
and now you're just sitting there
drama.
like, oh, I don't care anymore. I'm gonna go watch something else, I think.
Yeah, like fuck, like you know, on the contrary, TVN's webtoon-based drama Avengers Social Club, Witch's Court, and Mad Dog on KBS, where there's no apparent romantic storytelling, have been gaining popularity. Like, you know, Avengers Social Club, which stars one person that I absolutely love, which is Daminan, is playing three women from different walks of life: a street fish vendor, a housewife of a professor, and a Chebel's owner's daughter, who join forces to carry out their individual revenge. You know, like, focusing on close relationships between women. Like, yeah, Bechdel test. Yeah, no romance plot, and it started at 2.9%. And it's a cable for a cable show. That's fantastic, and it's soared up to over 5% again for a cable show. That's killer. So yeah, you're seeing a diversity in Korean television, which I'm all for, because it's not like there's there ain't talent over there making good shows. It's just they everybody there's like we talked about there everybody in making television, everybody in charge of the television channels is so risk averse. Like they don't dare try different things.
It becomes this thing where you're so risk averse that it becomes your detriment, right? Like you're so scared to try something that it becomes detrimental, right? And I bet even some of these shows like that have non-romantic things have some kind of romantic undertone, right? Because they still feel like that's what sells, right? Yeah. Some kind of friendship that develops over time, or like anything like that, right? It can't just be a show that's a show, right? It can't just be an action drama. It can't just be a comedy, a comedy drama or anything like that. There always has to be some kind of relationship building overtone that happens throughout the series. And like, you just don't always need that, right? You could literally just do a show that is an action drama, right? Like there's a lot of shows like that have those things that work well. And yeah, you know what? For a couple episodes, you can do some kind of romantic something, but don't make it a whole season's worth of something. Don't drag it out.
You don't have to center the show around like a whole melodrama romance thing of he will they, won't they kind of thing. Like it didn't all have to. Like you can even have love plots. Like you can have like connection. Like people get into like connections and love connection, whatever, and hook up. But you can have it more centered on how those affect the dynamics of everyone else, and more about how that affects like the central plot of like maybe their survival or having to do their job. How that affects their workplace. Like
I know. We generally don't talk about anime here, but there's an anime called Gamers, and literally, like, I by its title, right, I thought it was going to be about people playing video games, and it kind of is, but then it becomes this melodrama about relationships.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, oh, I really would have liked a show that was just about gamers, right? And that's kind of how it starts, right? It starts with this girl trying to recruit this dude into a gamer club, and then him being so awkward that he turns her down because he's just so awkward, right? Like, and I'm like, oh man, like that's totally awesome. I want more of this, but no, it becomes a drama about them getting together.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, and you just kind of check out and you just kind of keep watching because you've invested 4 or 5 episodes into something that you thought was good, but now it's hit this point where you're just like, oh, okay, it's that.
Yeah.
I don't really care anymore. Like,
it's one of those things that's like you get tropey, and then like it's not that tropes are bad, like because like we have shows that we love that are extremely tropey. Like Coffee Prince, for example. Coffee Prince hits so many of the different tropes, but it's done well. But like you still, at some point, if you keep rehashing the same things, like we just talked about with Idolmaster, like it could have been just this fun show about idols and like these girls wanting to form, these girls with these wacky personalities trying to form this idol group and this cohesive thing. But then they had to put this like not only the romance melodrama, but like we haven't really necessarily seen much of that, but this whole like mystery thing that every drama has to have with like the mysterious like death that might have been caused by someone. It's like you had to add the stuff we didn't want. Like you had to add the stuff you think we need, but we don't. Give us the stuff we were already expecting, and if you're gonna add something unique. I don't know. Any final thoughts, guys?
Yeah. No, I just I don't know, and it's one of those things that I'm one of those people. It drags me out of a show, man, because there are 8 other shows that I'm watching that have to deal with that shit, and I'm just like, oh my god, all of those Marvel Netflix shows, right?
Yeah,
all of them, right?
Yeah,
just. Like, god damn, man, I could do without that shit so much. Like, please. Like, it was terrible in Daredevil, and I sat through it, dude. I sat through it, and I was just like, I don't give a fuck. I don't even like this woman. And the fact that you're shoving this shit down my throat even more makes me hate it even more. And like, unless that is just purely the theme of the show, like you said, like Coffee Prince or My Lovely Samsoon, I can't, I just can't.
Can't even. Just can't even. Can only odd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that's gonna be. Hopefully we are getting some new ideas and some new shows. Even like Netflix making Korean dramas, which is really cool. So, like we're getting a zombie Joseon Netflix show. Just ruminating on that. I'm so looking forward to that. Yeah. That is it for our headlines. That is it for another fantastic episode of Hallyujuku. Kaz, what's going on in your world, in your space?
Right now, nothing much. We're coming off of the fuck happened? Fucking TwitchCon. Jesus Christ, I drew a fucking full blank, dude. Yes. We're coming off of TwitchCon, so things are just kind of getting back into working order. We're trying to get everyone to not have con crud so that we can get back to doing podcasts and shit like that. So we'll be back to all the regular shows. We'll be back to this. We'll be back to
Sports Odds and Ends, DKG Whelp, Two Nerdy Black Guys.
For the audio listeners, my brain melted. Literally, it just fucking full on melted, bro. All right, I'm done. Bye.
You can of course find. You can of course find him at King Kaz. Find all of his things about Demi King Kaz as well. You can find me at PD Rave. All the same things. Hallyujuku is the show. Hallyujuku.com, kpoppodcast.com.
Well, didn't I tell you? Don't you know?
Rebelly.net for this and other shows. Rebelly TV for many other things in different places. Yeah. Until next time. Like, share, subscribe, do all things. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Give it to me straight, Doctor.
Annyeong. Fighting.
Give it to me straight, Doctor.